St. Peter's Church at Thorpe, Salvin is one of my favourites. When you think of a county famous for its churches, South Yorkshire is probably one of the last places that springs to mind, and that conclusion is probably fair. But the best few churches in the county are, in my opinion, amongst the most delightful in the country. Thorpe Salvin is a little village close to the Nottinghamshire border. It is not well placed in the wider travel network, and so you might have only found yourself here before had you lost your way on the narrow country roads. If you haven't visited St. Peter's Church before, I now give you good reason to seek out this village. The church is only small and easily obstructed by the trees and stone-built houses that surround it. Only once you step under the Tudor timber-framed porch do you get the first hint of the treasure that awaits you inside. The south door is quintessentially Norman and in tremendous condition. As you step inside the church, the first thing that greets you is the exquisite font. The font is an important piece of church furniture. Every church has one. It's used for baptism, a symbol of a person's entry into the Christian faith, and so it is by the door. As at Blythe Church, there are multiple architectural styles at play here, notably Norman and Gothic. The two bays of arcading on the north side of the nave are Norman with their rounded arches, as is the chancel arch, the arch straight ahead with your back to the tower. The chancel is the most sacred part of the church. It's the room which contains the altar. Historically, this part of the church would have been screened off and reserved for the clergy, those ordained for religious duties. In this room there is a sedilia, the stone seating in the wall to the right of the altar. This is where the officiating members of the clergy sat during certain parts of a service. Behind the second column of the sedilia is a recess, which may have been an aumbry, where instruments of the communion service were kept. It's in an awkward position as the sedilia was moved in front of it when the 19th century organ chamber was built. Through the Gothic pointed arch to the left of the altar is a chapel. In this room there is a piscina in the wall, a basin for washing the vessels used in the services. There is a curious door in the chapel that leads to the chancel, even though there's an open arch just a few feet away. The north aisle is connected to the chapel by a quirky asymmetrical arch. You can see above it where the former roofline was. This explains the arch. The north wall of the aisle was heightened to take the two present windows, which came from Worksop Priory after its dissolution. Hopefully now you're acquainted with the Norman rounded arch and the later Gothic pointed arch. The tall tower arch in the nave is a collaboration between the two styles, with Norman-like scalloped capitals, the part between the top of the pillar and the start of the arch, and a typical zigzag motif, only this time on a pointed arch. You can imagine the medieval stonemasons wrapping their heads around this new design of church architecture. This merger of styles is called transitional, for obvious reasons. The south wall of the nave has much to dissect. See if you can spot the narrow Norman window and the remnants of where others were. You should not leave St. Peter's without seeing the chained Bible to the left of the chancel arch. In around 1540, Henry VIII, who was the new head of the church at the time, ordered that, for the very first time, a full English translation of the Bible be placed in every church for all to read. Before this time, Bibles were in Latin, which only the clergy and upper ranks of an otherwise uneducated society could read. These new Bibles meant that, for the first time, the poor as well as the rich could look upon the word of the Lord, though the majority of the population was still illiterate. St. Peter's Church is usually unlocked during daylight hours in the summer months. Outside of this time, you may need to arrange a visit by contacting a key holder.